humanization, love culture in the classroom. And it's taking you away from all the AI talk and all that to being human one more time. So, and this is our outline. We'll start with the definition of humanization, and then why is addressing our students' humanity important? What is a culture of love, and why should we have a culture of love in the classroom? What's the fine art of tough love? What is labs or love as a business strategy, and then apply it to love as a classroom strategy? And what are the 6 pillars of love as a classroom strategy framework, and then our conclusion. All right, so what is humanization? So what does it mean to be human? What distinguishes us humans from other creatures? And of course, it's thinking, emotions, our individual differences, our ability to express, our need to relate, to be respected, appreciated, and loved, also our desire to self-actualize. All these values and needs should be acknowledged and incorporated in learning situations to make them more meaningful and effective. So one definition we like very much is humanization is to uphold a particular view or value of what it means to be human, and furthermore, to find ways to act on this concern. So we should act on it, we should apply it. Such concern also needs to be practically translated into the more experiential issues of what practices can make people feel more human. Okay. According to a student, humanizing learning is when instructors see us as people, as unique, with different hopes and different stresses, and treat us as more than a number. So we need to see that every student is distinct from others. Each one of them has his or her own character, skill sets, approaches to learning, different goals, different outlooks, different weaknesses and strengths, as well as life circumstances. We should look at them as such, as people who are unique, as whole individuals, not just as numbers, IQs, or grades. So humanization is prioritizing the human as person and enhancing the feelings of humanity in education. Watson 2018 defines humanizing learning as not a curriculum or a set of prescribed strategies or something you need to add to your plate. It's more like an empathic lens. So empathy plays a lot here, through which you, the instructor, choose to view your students, which will help you build better relationships, prevent conflict, and teach them effectively. And later on, we'll show you that this research has proven that all this leads to better learning and better achievements. So as teachers, we should be empathetic, we should be flexible with our students for better rapport and for better teaching. Similarly, for Demian 2019, it's a mixture of honesty, sometimes coupled with toughness and kindness. However, it's not simply being nice or over exerting. So being kind and all that doesn't mean that we'll totally be lenient or forget about discipline or forget about academic achievement, but we must strike a balance between being understanding and appreciative and fulfilling our missions and benefiting our students. So why is addressing our students' humanity important? First of all, it increases awareness of students' well-being on the part of the teacher. We must pay attention to our students' well-being as well as our own for a more effective experience. This will encourage students to be more actively involved in the learning experience and to bring their lives into it and to make connections to other contexts in their lives. And when they are well, when students are well, when we are well, they will be more resilient and able to handle pressure and face challenges. In a study on undergraduate psychology students, Whipple's 2016 found that students' academic achievement is enhanced through establishing close relationships and emotional bonds between students. So even research found that there is a direct relationship between academic achievement and actually student well-being, or actually the caring that we give our students. Keeling 2014, likewise, linked an instructor's ethic of care with the success of students. So research has backed this. Blessinger et al. Pointed out the importance of humanization approach as follows. He said, the academic institution can become a place of caring, support, and the meaningful pursuit of academic and professional goals through focusing on the physical, psychological, and social well-being and safety of students and professors. So again, this holistic approach to students. All right, then let's move to what is a culture of love and why should we have it in the classroom? Is teaching an act of love? To a great extent, yes. So impactful, humane teachers' pedagogy is rooted in something called agape love. What is agape love? It is love given for its own sake. Through agape, one extracts one's happiness from others' happiness and well-being. Okay? And in 1973, the Brazilian educator and philosopher Paulo Freire claimed that education is an act of love. Through love, we can support our students in hard times of failure, and when we have faith in them, they can make significant achievement. In his book, To Know as We Are Known, Parker J. Palmer notes that most of us go into teaching not for fame or for fortune, but because of a passion to connect, which also requires love to be genuine or meaningful. We have chosen this profession, which is not really a very easy one, because we have a passion to connect with our students, because we want to give, we want to benefit, okay? Because we don't really want to do any other thing in our life. When you love your students, you can understand their aspirations. You may sometimes be upset with them, or many times be upset with them, but you still love them and care for their well-being. A teacher really wants what is good for her students, how to benefit her students, how to inspire them or make them successful. Students need to be told that they are loved. So it's not enough to have feelings for your students or to care for them, but tell them. Stop from time to time and tell them. This will positively impact their mental and even their physical well-being, because feeling supported, appreciated, and understood will motivate them and inspire them to learn and be creative. Being loved can build a love of learning. Okay, and I'll leave the floor to Amani. Amani, would you like me to stop sharing the screen?
No, if you carefully follow up with me, then you can turn.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, thank you, Afaf. And now we're going to turn to one kind of love, which is also humanistic, and it is tough love. So maybe all of us would think love is kind, love is lenient, love is, soft, but sometimes love has to be tough for the sake of the people you love. So what do we mean by tough love? Tough means treating the students sternly to stop their undesirable behavior. And love means helping the students to find the joy in learning and becoming motivated and engaged and develop their self-efficacy. And this, the teacher has to do in a number of ways. One of them is banish empty praise. So don't give praise if it is not deserved. Never give false praise. Can we just mute Mr. Abdul? Thank you. Okay, a successful learner requires coaches who are capable of giving constructive, even painful feedback. So sometimes we have to be tough, we have to be harsh, we have to be firm, because this is for the good of our students. So it is sometimes required to give painful love as painful feedback, because this will help the student progress, learn from his mistakes, and so on. The second way to help students by giving them a kind of love that is tough is to set expectations high. So do not, water down your course, your learning outcomes, stretch your students' abilities, put uncompromised standards. Do not bargain or negotiate about the standards or the rules that you want your students to follow. And you also have to show them that you have faith in their abilities, that you believe that they are capable of more. They can give more than what they're showing. Afaf? Then be clear. Now, you have to be clear. You have to make your standards clear, your learning outcomes clear, your goals clear, your rules clear, because this is one important way of showing them that you care. Because being unclear is basically being very unkind. Be specific in your communication. Give clear instructions and make things clear. Number 4 is hold others accountable. You have to make them, accountable for their own actions and their behaviors, because being lenient and flexible will not help them grow. And do not penalize failure, but teach them that failure is one part of a process to success, and transfer responsibility to them. And instead of telling them, listen to me, tell them you have to discipline yourself. And you have to explain to them the importance of discipline and how it is important for us to do things that we don't want to do, because this is the only way that we can grow. Okay, and you also have to help them pick up themselves when they fall. So if they fail and they are not doing well, help them, support them, give them a hand, give them counseling, sit with them, spend time before class, in conferences, Zoom meetings. Try to tell them that you understand, that you empathize, and that you're willing to help, but do not jeopardize your standards or the goals that they have to achieve. And the last thing that you can do in giving them tough love is to say thank you. Now, gratitude is very important. As much as you want your students to show their gratitude towards you when you are a successful teacher or a helpful teacher, you also have to say thank you when they succeed or when they are in the road to success. So accomplishments are to be recognized, and you have to applaud their steps. Thank you, Afaf. Okay, so no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it, as Hebrews say. And also, it is very important that maybe after the semester finishes, maybe throughout the semester, they're not happy, they're complaining, you're very tough, you're very strict, you're firm, but at the end of the semester, or maybe later after, they finish the course and move on, they'll come and say, thank you for being tough. Thank you for helping me discipline myself. So qualities students will acquire from the tough love of humanistic teacher are resilience, perseverance, and self-confidence. And they're all very important for success beyond the classroom, not only within the classroom and in this course, but in life in general. And that is the mark of a true mentor. If you're really a true mentor, not only a teacher, a leader who creates a culture of excellence, this will give your students something that will last with them for the rest of their lives, and you will be remembered for it. Thank you. Okay, now we come to the focus or the core of this presentation, which is love as a business strategy or love as a classroom strategy. Now, labs was found in a book that was written by Anwar and colleagues, and it's called Love as a Business Strategy, Resilience, Belonging, and Success. And the basic tenet of the central tenet of this book is put people at the center of every business decision. And so this was, taken and adapted and saying, okay, why don't we follow these 6 pillars in the classroom and have a culture of love in our classrooms? And the coming part of the presentation will focus on the 6 pillars that they used in labs, and they did very successful businesses after they applied this strategy. And for us, we are going also to take these strategies and apply them in our classrooms. So the first strategy is inclusion. Give students agency over their learning. So it is defined in the book as fair treatment, integrating differences, decision-making, psychological safety, trust, belonging, and diversity, making sure that everyone has a seat at the table and that everyone's voices are heard. So we have to include everybody, even the student who is very weak, even the student with a disability. Everybody has to be included and heard and given enough and equal attention. So one of the most powerful and effective ways of centering on diversity and equity in the classroom is giving students a choice, telling them, well, you can choose the topic for your oral presentation, you can choose the topic for your final paper, you can choose to answer the odd or the even numbers in the test paper, or you can choose your peer in the joint presentation, and give them some sense of choice. Tell them that you have control over this learning situation by giving them some choices that are not really very detrimental, but it will make them feel, I have a say. And if we do so, there are some very positive results, such as reduced student anxiety, increased engagement, and they feel empowered. And it also improves their scores because they feel, I had a say in this. Okay. The second pillar is empathy, which is extremely, extremely important. Seek to listen and understand your students. Empathy is being able to turn off your mic and turn up the volume of everybody else's mics. It's not listening only, it is listening, of course, but listening and trying to understand and put yourself in the shoes of the person you are listening to and try to help. We're not only listening and sympathizing, no, but listening and empathizing, trying to help, trying to feel the way they feel. And this can be applied in the classroom by making sure that students understand that failure does not mean defeat. This is not the end. This is not the end. This is one step towards having a better end, towards success. And be there to walk with them through failure and help them bounce back by giving them feedback, constructive feedback, by telling them where they went wrong, how they can get better, and show that you care, really care, genuinely care, and be there and give instructions, write, letters. Like for instance, last week in my final class, I wrote one of my students, you're just a very good student, you're excellent, but you will not make it to the higher, we have either auto 10 or 1010. You will not make it to 1010 because your attitude was very bad. So I wrote him, a note. And I said, you need to sweat, you need to work hard, you need to change your attitude. So show that you really care. Even after you leave me, I'm telling you an advice that will help you throughout your life. So, and always take appropriate action according to the situation. The third pillar is vulnerability. Teach students that failure is okay and lead by example. Vulnerability is being willing to own your mistakes and to learn from those mistakes rather than having to be seen as perfect. I'm flawless. I don't make mistakes. It is permission to be human because all humans make mistakes and we're all imperfect. So in the classroom, we can integrate vulnerability through a plan called FLEX. And FLEX, the F stands for realizing failure. The L means leaning on our emotions and when we experience failure. And E is electing a positive response to this failure. And the last one is being transparent with others about our failures and recoveries. And this is the X-ray. And the X-ray part means that shows vulnerability. And here is what vulnerability comes into discussion. Also, show them that you as a teacher is also vulnerable, that you also had your weaknesses, and these weaknesses or these difficulties did not stop you from excelling and becoming their teacher or thriving in life, because, when we make mistakes, we learn and we become better people. So show your humanity to them. Show them that you're not the super human being. No, you're human and you make mistakes and you fail, but you learn and grow. The fourth pillar is trust. Build consistency in your teaching and get to know your students. So leadership or being a leader or being a teacher without trust is mainly management. This is not anymore leadership. So in the classroom, trust is very crucial by giving students the ability to sustain a growth mindset. A growth mindset means that we learn from our mistakes because we're all capable of developing. We can become better. We do not have fixed mindsets, which means that our abilities are engraved in stone and that's it, and cannot get better. No, we can always grow. We can always become better if we really believe and have this mindset of a growth mindset, as Carol Dweck said, by learning that through hard work, we can become better. Hard work is the key to success. So educators are responsible for building consistency in their teaching and building good relationships with their students, having rapport with your students from the very first week, showing them that you care, but showing them that you are also firm, that you're tough, and that we do not negotiate the learning outcomes, we do not negotiate our goals. We have to achieve the goal, and I will help you get there. And this includes building trust in simple ways, such as knowing their names and their hobbies and their majors, and their weaknesses if they open up and tell you about them. And if they have disability, physical disability that you show, then you have to be really understanding and patient and take them by hand throughout the semester. The fifth pillar is empowerment, which means make sure students feel valued and supported. Empowerment is not a word, but an action. So it means giving employees, or in our case, students, latitude, freedom, flexibility, ownership of their work. When you are empowered to do your job, you feel valued, trusted, respected, and included. So we give them, the tools to become successful. We empower them. Like, for instance, ensure students feel valued by building personal connections with them inside and outside class. You have to be understanding and you have to listen to them. And if they're not doing the work, you have to find out why and see if you can help. And make time to meet with them before and after class, in office hours, etc. Set them up for success inside the classroom and beyond. Explain to them that discipline is a very important attitude in life, and that you have to develop it to succeed not only in my course or this course or in university, but in your life in general. And clap for them and be their biggest supporter. The last pillar is forgiveness. Forgiveness is very important. Be flexible but fair with students. Forgiveness is the ability to look past someone's mistakes, shortcomings, or offensive actions and continue to build a relationship. As teachers, we all know that students can be rude, they can be cruel, they can be very unkind, unappreciative, not thankful at all. And this hurts us a lot, but we have to go beyond this. We have to transcend this, being angry at them for being so unappreciative and unkind to us, despite what we're trying to do and how helpful we are. But we have to, being older and being more mature and wiser and being their teachers and their leaders, we have to transcend this weakness. So in the classroom, it can be difficult to balance between accountability and grace. However, we can show some things, that are not going to change our course or, threaten the course's, syllabus or whatever, but some grace, like maximizing the flexibility, course policies, attendance policies, late work policies, show some understanding and flexibility. And this will make them feel that, okay, I'm forgiven and I can start from the beginning. So help them become more resilient as they face each challenge, focusing on, again, a growth mindset, because when we have a growth mindset, we face challenges with an open mind and an open heart, and we're ready to pick up ourselves and continue going. These are the 6 pillars, and we are ending with a conclusion that best summarizes what love is. And this is taken from the Holy Bible in Corinthians 1, where it says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it's not self-seeking. This is agape. It is not easily angered. This is forgiveness. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts. Again, these are the pillars incorporated in these verses. Always hopes, always trusts and believes in your student. You have to believe in your students. Always perseveres. Love never fails. So love is the quality that we want to have in our hearts and our minds and our attitudes in our classrooms. And Afaf will end with a very nice poem that is called Love in the Classroom.
Okay. So it's about a teacher who's reflecting on a learning situation where she was torn between finishing the lesson and showing some kind of flexibility and love for her students. So for my students, afternoon, across the garden in Green Hall, someone begins playing the old piano, a spontaneous piece, amateurish and alive, full of a simple, joyful melody. The music floats among us in the classroom. I stand in front of my students, telling them about sentence fragments. I ask them to find the 10 fragments in the 21 sentence paragraph on page 45. They've come from all parts of the world: Iran, Micronesia, Africa, Japan, China, and even Los Angeles, and they're still eager to please me. It's less than halfway through the quarter. They bend over their books and begin. Hamid's lips move as he follows the tortuous labyrinth of English syntax. Yoshi sits erect, perfect in her pale makeup, legs crossed, quick pulse, minutely jerking her right foot. Tony, from an island in the South Pacific, sprawls limp and relaxed in his desk. The melody floats around and through us in the room, broken here and there, fragmented, restarted. It feels Mid-Eastern, but it could be jazz or the blues. It could be anything from anywhere. I sit down on my desk to wait, and it hits me from nowhere, a sudden, sweet, almost painful love for my students. Never mind, I want to cry out. It doesn't matter about fragments, finding them or not. Everything's a fragment and everything's not a fragment. Listen to the music, how fragmented, how whole, how we can't separate the music from the sun falling on its knees on all the greenness from this moment, how this moment contains all the fragments of yesterday and everything we'll ever know of tomorrow. Instead, I keep a coward silence. The music stops abruptly. They finish their work, and we go through the right answers, which is to say, we separate the fragments from the whole. Remember that we are human and we cannot really be robotic all the time. There has to be some kind of human element in our classrooms and some kind of emotional link to our students, love and support, and all that. Okay, and thank you very much for listening to us. Okay, we're ready for questions.
Thank you, Afaf, and thank you, Miss Amani, for taking us back or reminding us of the humanistic, teacher who builds emotional bonds and who, who cares and who looks at education as an act of love. I think, sometimes we get wrapped up in so many issues and we tend to be a bit sidetracked.
Yeah.
Particularly with the technology we have now.
Yeah.
Which has no heart for any one of us.
You're right.
Any questions? If there are questions, we can take a couple of questions, or if there is a comment. Shireen is trying to say something.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Like, I really appreciate this presentation. With all the hype around AI and technology, we kind of forgot about those principles and pillars of education, of teaching. You mentioned love, empathy, empowerment, vulnerability, forgiveness. All of this is the language we miss, honestly. And we have to remind ourselves to highlight in the classrooms, in practice, as well as, in words. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Shireen.
Okay. May I have a comment? May I comment?
Yes,
Hello.
David?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I have been interested in, the relationships of the teacher to the student in the classroom for a while. It's sometimes known as classroom climate, and there's a theory about that. But one of the things, it's more possible for the teacher to control the teacher-student relationship, but how about the student-to-student relationship? Can you say anything about that?
Well, the beginning of any semester, I tell my students that besides the learning outcomes of the course, which may be 7 or 8, relating to writing, speaking, oral presentation, reading, summary, and so on, I have my own set of goals, which is, one of them is, number one, developing some soft skills. And at the core of these soft skills that I want them to develop are, collaboration, teamwork, and empathy. And we stop after maybe a week or two and we start reflecting. How empathetic are we or are they towards one another? If somebody is absent, I always tell them, why is he absent? Why is she absent? Did you call? Did you find out why? Did anybody care to pass on the assignments to this, absent person? And I say also in teamwork. Now, in teamwork, you have to give up your ego and listen to others. and listen to what they're saying, and you have to reach a, you know, a compromise. And how well are you collaborating with your peers? Also, I encourage very much co-curricular activities by asking them to attend, you know, talks or events at AUC. And in these events, they get closer to one another, and they write in the reflections that, you know, I really liked being, you know, together with my colleagues because I was a bit aloof, or because I didn't know them well, but going together and, you know, having, you know, I asked them to take photos of themselves at the event. And sometimes there are, you know, refreshments and food to eat, and they get to eat together and, you know, take photos together, and they really bond. So it is also the role of the teacher to help bring the students together closer and to form relationships that are not very competitive, but, you know, they help each other, they think of each other, and they maybe form study groups, and they work together. And the weak ones, always also in group work, I always try to pair, you know, not very good students with good students, not the good ones with, and the good one has to help the one that was not that good, and so on. So it is also, I think, the role of us as teachers to help make this relationship between students become closer and smoother, and provide the opportunities for them to get closer to one another.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well,
Excuse me.
I think we can, yes, we can take a final comment. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Amani.
okay. First of all, I'd like to express my uh, I would like to express my admiration to the speakers for this topic. And we are one in promoting teaching and in showing love with our students. Uh, now, more than this, I believe that first we have to develop our students loving themselves,
Of course.
because yeah, there are lots of negative students. Somehow they have their anxieties, they feel shy, they have this negative uh they have some negative characteristics. And beyond these negativities, first of all, we have to develop within themselves the love for who they are. And it's part of teaching with inclusivity, for whatever background, social background, gender, religion that they have been. It's always better to, I mean, it's always good to teach them to love themselves and never reject themselves, and make themselves appreciate, because first of all, they have to appreciate themselves so that others can appreciate them also, especially as teachers. And we have to develop that confidence, because
Thank you, Amani.
and never let them stuck with it, with these negative ideas or things about themselves, but rather accept who they are.
Thank you so
Thank-
much.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Afaf. Thank you, Amani.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
very
for
much.
having us.
We